Hello, listeners, and welcome to episode 93 of the Nigeria Football Weekly podcast with me, your host, Olu Oke. And yes, we have a very, very spicy episode for everybody's listening pleasure. The international break is officially here. Yes, we know majority of the footballing world are always upset when the international break is here. They miss their clubs. There's no games to watch during weekdays until Thursday. There's no real game at prime time on Saturday. We get it. But we don't care over here. We're happy that we get to watch Super Eagles again. And this is the preview for Nigeria's AFCON Qualifiers against Benin Republic taking place on Saturday and against Rwanda, which will be taking place on Tuesday in Kigali. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get into it. We're going to do a quick update on the squad. I announced the initial squad in the last episode of the podcast, but there's been one change in the new squad list released. Benjamin Tanimu has come in for Sai Samuel. I know after all my cracking jokes about Tanimu going to League One and he will never be in the team again, what did they do? Literally the next day after I recorded, we get an update that Benjamin Tanimu's been called in. But, I can't even be asked to be upset about that one. He shouldn't play any minutes, so just sit on the bench. And anyway, so that's the updated squad. So what's the full squad list, just for anybody who didn't listen to the last podcast? Goalkeepers, we have Stanley Nwabali, Maduka Okoye, and Amas Obasogi. Defenders, we have Captain William Chustekong, Semi Ajayi, Kavi Bassi, and Olisanda as our centre-backs. We know that Kavi Bassi can also play as a left-back. Then we have Ola Aino, Benjamin Tanimu, and Bruno Yemachi as our full-backs. We know Ola Aino is versatile enough to play as both a right-back and a left-back. So not too bad in terms of the options, Osai Samuel, wish you quick recovery and hopefully he could get back to fitness very, very soon. In midfield, no real surprises there. Alex Iwobi, Franco Yeka, Alassane Yusufu, Fred Ndidi, Rafael Edika, Fisayo Dele Bashiru. I think it's a bit sad that Rebo's not there, but, it's not the end of the world. There's no need to throw toys out of the pram. I'm not that mad at the selections. I think Alassane Yusuf will struggle to get selections now that he's gone to the MLS. No offense to the MLS, but we have a big enough pool of good players as Nigeria in Europe and in top leagues. So I don't really think we'll be calling up players who play in the MLS like that. No offense. And then forward line, Ademola Lookman, Samuel Chukwueze, Moses Simon as our wingers, and then Nigeria caught up 4 strikers in true Nigeria style. So Victor Osimhen, Victor Boniface, Taiwo Awoniyi, and Kelechi Iheanacho, who we know they also try to play as the right winger sometimes. So what are we here for? Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers taking place in Morocco next year. Interestingly enough, it's going to take place in December. They've done some shit with the calendar there. If you want to play it in January, let's do our normal January to early Feb. If not, do it in the summer. But for some reason, FIFA, I think because of the Club World Cup and some other reasons, they've been able to get Africa to move our own edition of our own AFCON. So just to get the right dates for you, it will be taking place from December 21st, literally 4 days before Christmas, to the 18th of January. I don't know how players are going to feel about that one, playing through Christmas, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Let's qualify first. So Nigeria is in a group where there's 4 teams and the top 2 teams qualify. So it's Nigeria, Benin Republic, Rwanda, and Libya. Top 2 qualify. That's it. So there's 12 groups. Top 2 from everywhere qualifies. It's a bit of an anomaly though, because they've also got Morocco taking place in qualification, which I don't think is a bad thing. But that probably means that either the 3rd place team in Morocco's group will go through, or I guess they will just pick the best of the rest when they look through all the teams. Maybe the best 3rd place team from everywhere. But we'll see how that one goes. So anyway, first 2 games for Nigeria, we play Rwanda and Benin Republic first, and then Rwanda. One thing that also makes this game extra spicy, or these 2 games extra spicy for Nigeria, is, ironically, Benin and Rwanda are both in our World Cup qualifying group. And just to jog the memory of anybody who's missed it, because of when the games took place, people might not know. Rwanda are actually top of our World Cup qualifying group right now. They're on 7 points. And they're top on goal difference with a goal difference of +2. South Africa is second, 7 points to goal difference of 1. And then Benin Republic are actually joint top They're third because of their goal difference and goals scored because they've scored less than South Africa. But man, when you look at the tail of the tape, Nigeria were fifth, just to jog the memories, and we haven't beaten any of these teams in our group so far. So this is an opportunity. Yes, we're qualifying for a different tournament, but it's a very good opportunity to, right those wrongs, so to speak, and prove to the nation that, we're not just a bunch of chums just here to make up the numbers or do the typical Nigeria thing. Because honestly, I can't lie to you guys, I'm very worried we're not going to go to the World Cup. I know everyone's saying, yeah, it's going to be fine. We'll see how it goes. The players will play, will do what they have to do. But I'm telling you, I am very, very worried. So it's an opportunity to at least lay down a marker against these teams, beat them, show them that you're still the giant of Africa, you're still the AFCON finalist, you're still one of the better teams on the continent. And hopefully we will see that. Another thing to also mention, Benin Republic, literally Nigeria's last game of any kind in June was against Benin Republic, and they beat us at home. They beat us 2-1. We were the away team. And my God, we were really, really useless. Obviously, Finidi resigned after that, but we're giving away sloppy goals from corner kicks and just not playing well at all. So, at the very least, I would like to make sure that we lay down the gauntlet against Benin and co. So, what has happened? Obviously, we know Eguavoen is in charge. But I thought for the sake of balance, let me come with a more measured approach to Eguavoen's Nigeria record as coach. We're not going to talk about the past in 2006 or 2010 or any of those moments. I think that's way far back in the past for it to really matter. But we'll touch on Eguavoen's record when he took interim charge of the Nigerian national team, in between when Gernot was our coach and we had Jose Peseiro. So that means Eguavoen took charge of 6 games in total for the Nigerian national team from December. He was appointed December 2021. And he took charge of these 6 games between January and March. Literally, that was it. 4 games in AFCON, 2 games in the World Cup qualifiers against Ghana, and he was gone. So how did he do, just to jog the memory of everybody? In his first game, we beat Egypt 1-0. Very good game and goal. Remember, Kelechi Iheanacho scored that really good goal from outside the box. Osimhen missed this tournament with an injury, remember? So Osimhen did not play in that game. Then second game, we beat Sudan 3-1. We played really well. Moses Simon was the star man. Like, he was just balling out, doing whatever he wanted on the pitch with those guys. Like the way we played in those games. Even yourself, if you hated Nigeria, you even bow. Then our third game, we then ended up beating Guinea-Bissau 2-0. If I'm not mistaken, Omar Sadiq scored in that game and Trustekong. So it was all going smoothly, to be honest. Everything was, nice and dandy. Yeah, I think I'm correct. Omar Sadiq scored and Trustekong scored. And then in the game against Sudan, where we beat them 3-1, our goal scorers were Samuel Chukwueze, Taiwo Awoniyi, and Moses Simon. Yeah, I remember Simon had such a great tournament. So it was all going good. And then in the round of 16, we met Tunisia, who ironically had finished third in their group because they didn't play that well. And then next thing you know, Maduka Okoye makes a mistake from a long shot. And then Alex Iwobi comes on and gets a very harsh VAR red card. And Nigeria's out of the tournament just like that. March comes, we play the World Cup qualifier. We play against Ghana in Kumasi. We draw 0-0. We're still feeling confident, no problem. Then Ghana come to Abuja. What happens? Francis Zoho makes a mistake from Thomas Partey's shots. Next thing you know, we're not going to the World Cup for the first time since 2006, which was only the second time since I've been born. So, to be honest, we haven't missed a lot of World Cups. So, it was really, really sad to see. Now, one thing I just wanted to call out in these games that Eguavoen played is his formation. Obviously, he hasn't been in charge since March 2022, so that's 2.5 years ago. So, one thing that is very clear, though, is he always plays 4 at the back. He either played a 4-3-3 formation or a 4-2-3-1 formation in all our games. Sometimes Google says it was a 4-1-4-1, but we that watch football, we know what they're talking about there. And he always played Trustekong and Leon Balogun in all the games. I mean, there was one game where Omeru played at AFCON. I think that was because Balogun was injured. But you could see a clear bias or like for certain players. Sanusi, Aribo played a lot, Chukwueze played a lot, Simon played a lot, Osimhen played when he could. But some of these lineups were interesting to say the least in terms of setup, especially in the World Cup qualifiers. We had Iheanacho playing as a cam. In the game in Kumasi, Simon played on the right wing, Chukwueze played on the left wing, even though he's a right winger, although that was probably the other way around. We had Innocent Bonke playing for Nigeria. That shows you how limited our options were at the time for the World Cup qualifiers. Also, Alex Iwobi did not play these games because of his red card from the AFCON. So it was quite interesting to see, though. One thing to call out in terms of the way he plays attacking football. He's a legend. What the pros of Eguavoen, is a legend. He's well respected. Knows Nigerian football very well. He's been a technical director for a while. And he likes to attack. He puts us on the front foot, which was something that we could not necessarily say about Pesero, for example. And in some of these games, we really, really played super well, especially without Osimhen, which is kudos to him and his team for being able to make the team gel. Our win against Egypt was particularly impressive. Egypt were considered favorites and they roll over us, but that was not necessarily the case. But another positive I noticed is if you look through these games that Eguavoen played, the goals we conceded, he was very unlucky. I think in all the games he conceded 2 goals. Or three in total. He conceded one against Sudan in the group stage of AFCON 2022. He conceded that goal against Tunisia in the round of 16, and then he conceded that goal against Ghana. Now, when you look at those 3 goals conceded, the goal from Sudan was a penalty. We're already 3-0 up in that game. So that one, you can't really blame the coach, loss of head. I can't really remember the incident right now, but I'm sure it'll come back to me. And then, obviously, the 2 goalkeeping errors. Maduka Okoye's error against Tunisia, and then Francis Zoh's error against Thomas Partey. So, in reality, we haven't really looked vulnerable defensively under Eguavoen in those games he played. And 6 games is enough to, form an informed decision, especially because 4 of those games were against teams that we would consider our level or, around us. Ghana, Tunisia, Egypt, And another thing to also mention, he didn't have Osimhen for any of those AFCON games. He only had Osimhen for the Ghana qualifier. And looking at the way the pressure was in the World Cup games, Osimhen was trying his best. It just looked like the pressure was a bit too much. And when you look at the squad, when you look at Innocent Bonke and co playing, you have to admit that our squad quality right now is even better than what we had before. We didn't have Boniface then. Lookman was not yet playing for Nigeria until the Ghana games because he's the one that won the penalty for Trustekong. So Lookman did not play in that AFCON. Fisai Delebashiri was not in the squad. Onyedika had not yet emerged. So when you look at the team, there are a few bright spots. Okoye was not starting for Udinese in the top 5 leagues. He wasn't playing this well. Nwabali had not come. We knew Nwabali in the MPFL, but in terms of national team focus, none of us knew at all who he was. So those are the pros. And then a few negatives, we must admit, every time Nigeria was in a lurch in any of those games, when we went behind against Ghana, yes, we scored quickly through Trustekong, but we didn't really look like we were going to score, if I'm being honest, for the rest of that game. Against Tunisia, yes, there was a red card, but you could tell that adjustment-wise or just pressure-wise, there was not necessarily that much tactical flexibility. Same thing in the first game against Ghana where we drew 0-0. Was there an opportunity to be a bit more front-footed and to try to put, we knew that there was away goals, which is what cost us in the end. So being a bit harsh, but those are things that, count against him. And then my personal problem with Eguavoen is the fact that as we're speaking about him as a coach, but when we talk about him as a technical director, we have to admit he's not done well for Nigeria. He has failed. So we have to be brutally honest about this. He doesn't have to answer to anyone about what he's done. There used to be a time where all the Nigerian underage groups would always make the World Cups, whether it's under 17, under 20, Olympics. Now we cannot say the same. Yes, our under 20s played in Argentina last year and beat Argentina in the round of 16, but went on the quarterfinals. There's a time we used to do really well in these games. Where's the progression? Are they spotting these players talented early enough, both at home and in the diaspora? Are you providing the right environment for the players to thrive? We saw the video from Mali of the way their stadium looked and their training facilities looked. Almost as good as the North African teams. Meanwhile, our players are stretching while doing their exercises for training on hard concrete beside the pitch. Yes, because of Nigeria's culture, the players will not say anything. They will just respect, because if you talk too much, they'll say you're arrogant or you're disrespectful. But is that good enough? It's not. So as a technical director, we cannot say he has necessarily done well. And for some reason, he doesn't seem to. If he does well or if he doesn't do well, he continues as the technical director. So, and then look at where we are at the World Cup right now. So those are the things I just have to call out in terms of Eguavoen. Anyway, tail of the tape between Nigeria and Benin. What are the things we have to talk about? Benin Republic, world ranking of Nigeria 30. World ranking of Nigeria 39th. We're 39th in the world right now. Benin are 91st in the world. In Africa, Nigeria is 5th in the world, while Benin Republic is 19th in Africa. We're only 4 points ahead of Tunisia right now. So if we like, let's not take time in this AFCON qualifiers. We'll drop to 6th in Africa, and that's not good. The top 5 teams, there's a reason we are the top 5, you know, and Nigeria should even be top 2 or 3. How can you be 5th immediately after your AFCON performances? You just blew it all in world rankings, and you've been going down, you know, in the past 4 months. So hopefully we rectify that. Benin's manager is obviously Nigeria's former manager, Gernot Rohr, who beat us in the last game 2-1. Who's Benin's star player? Steve Mounier. He's now playing at Auberg, ironically. Remember, in the Premier League, he played for Huddersfield. I remember he scored once against Arsenal. So anyway, he'll be facing his new club teammate, Frank Onyeka. Another star player, Jodel Dusu. He's a 32-year-old winger for Sochaux, 32 years old. He scored against us in the last game as well. He looked really lively in that game, to be honest. And then there's Junior Lighton, Nigerian father, but Benin. His mother's from Benin. He was born in Benin Republic, 22-year-old winger playing for Rohr in the 2nd division in France. So those are the players to watch out for, and that's pretty much their attacking lineup, their wingers and their striker. One thing about these games, people think Nigeria will breeze through these teams. It's a lie. When you look at Nigeria's head-to-head record against Benin Republic, our last game, they beat us 2-1 finally. The last time we played them in 2021, we needed a last-minute Polonwachu header to beat them 1-0. I don't know if you remember. Before that, in 2019, we beat them 2-1. Like, it's always very, very low-scoring games, even back to the early 2000s. 2010, we beat them 1-0. 2008, we beat them 2-0. 2004 beat them 2-1. So it's going to be a very low-scoring game. It always is. Nobody's going to thrash anybody. But one thing that must be mentioned, Benin are coming into this game on good form. They've won their last 2 games at home. They beat Nigeria 2-1, and they beat Rwanda 1-0, who was also in the group. And in their last 5 games, they've only lost 1, and that was to Senegal away. So take time. When you compare that to Nigeria, our last 5 games, we lost the AFCON final. Then we beat Ghana under Finidi. Then we lost to Mali under Fidini. Then we drew at home South Africa under Finidi. Then we lost to Benin under Finidi. So hopefully, none more of this rubbish, I beg, please. You know, we're tired. Just do better for us, you know. So anyway, based on what we know, what do we think will be the starting lineup? Obviously, we can't tell because it's Eguavoen's first game in his 4th stint. But I think he'll go with a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. Let's just say 4-2-3-1. Goalkeeper, I expect Nwabali to start, to be honest, because he's done nothing wrong. But I would not be surprised if Okoye starts because he's the keeper that's match fit. Back 4, for sure. He'll play Olaino, Trustekong, and Calvin Bassey will definitely start the game. That one is for sure. Ekong is centre-back. The other 2 are not sure. I would play Aino as a right back, and then I'll play Bassey and Ekong as the centre-back pairing. And then I'll bring in Onyemachi to play as the left back because he's quite fast. We know he didn't really get any minutes at AFCON, but I've liked what I've seen from Onyemachi for the most part when I've watched him. There is a chance that Eguavoen might play Calvin Bassey as left back and then draft in Shemi Ajayi or Olisanda as the centre-back partner for Trustekong and then drop Onyemachi. So let's see. I think in midfield, Ndidi and Onyedika have to start. Ndidi is the vice captain. He's not going to start. And then Onyedika, who has played really well for Nigeria in the last 2 games, and has been pulling out for his club, I believe deserves to start over Frank Onyeka. But let's see. Also, as the cam is a toss-up between Iwobi and Fisayo Delibashu. Iwobi's playing very well. There is a chance he might play Iwobi as a left winger, but we know Iwobi for Nigeria a lot of time plays as a cam, so I think he'll stick with that. We're 99.9% sure Osimhen and Lookman will start. We're just not sure about Chukwueze or Simon being the other wing option. Actually, I said I'm 100% sure Osimhen will start. Because Osimhen has not played any preseason games or any games at all this season, There's a chance he might start with Boniface because of match fitness, out of respect for the opponents. But I have a very good feeling Osimhen will probably start. He's made a very incredible effort to make it to the national team after his move to Galatasaray, which just got confirmed on Tuesday, I believe. And then he's been flying everywhere from Naples to Turkey to Istanbul, sort out the contract, do all the signing. And then we saw pictures of him at training earlier today. Today's Thursday, so I would expect Osimhen to start. Things to watch out for in this game. Improvement in set pieces. Nigeria considered really stupid set pieces in the last game, and that was not good enough. Our chance creation. Can we create a lot more chances? That's one thing we saw under Eguavoen that was better in AFCON, so maybe we could see that. Although he had more time to prepare with the team compared to these AFCON qualifiers where it's just a few days in the squad. And Nigeria has to be clinical. We have to take our chances, so that's something I would love to see. Also, tactical discipline. Do not underestimate your opponents. Pressing from the front. Tracking back when you need to. And then misplaced passes. One of the most frustrating things watching Nigeria is misplaced passes. Especially the centre-back sometimes. Shemi Ajayi, I'm looking at you. Please, pass completion. I'm begging you. Nigeria, I'm begging you, please. Because this is not a game to joke with at all. And then also, Osimhen's return. How's Osimhen going to fare? This is Osimhen's first game since the AFCON final for Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken. He hasn't played any of our World Cup qualifiers because of injury. So, how would Osimhen fare? I still believe he had a very good AFCON. Yes, he only scored 1 goal, but he had 2 goals disallowed, 1 or 2 penalties, and just was like an all-around threat, an animal to the opponents. So we'll see how Osimhen returns in this game. Or will Boniface finally score his first goal for Nigeria? All shall be revealed on Saturday. What's my score prediction for this game? Look, Nigeria have to win this game. There's too much going on in Nigeria. The people are not happy. Tinubu is just doing his own thing. You know, inflation is at all-time high. Exchange rate is going through the roof. You know, ticket fares for everything is just all over the place. You know, thank God for our music. But Nigeria, we need this win. I'm telling you, like, we haven't won a game literally since we beat Ghana in that 2-1 friendly against under Finidi. So Nigeria, please, we have to win. My score prediction is 2-1. It's not going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to be a very tough game. But hopefully, Nigeria may surprise us. You never know. You know, so we'll look out for that one and see how Nigeria gets on in that game. Finally, just round up the podcast, I will do a review of both our games against Benin and Rwanda together. So what does Nigeria need to be worried about when it comes to Rwanda? Rwanda are ranked 131st in the world. In Africa, they're ranked 39th. Their manager is Torsten Frank Spittler. When you look at their star players, majority of their players play in the Rwanda League. And we know that with Paul Kagame, that's been improving a lot. You know, when you look at the facilities in Rwanda and the way they're leveling up, it's clear to see. Most of their experience in their squad is in defense, to be fair. They have 3 players with over 27 caps. Thierry Manzi and Emmanuel Imanishimwe both have 42 caps, but I think one got 43 caps because of their draw against Libya yesterday. Manzi, look out for him. He's a centre-back, but he's got 4 goals for their country. They're not a very prolific goal-scoring country, as you can expect, but they've got some few players that have started to shine. They've got a striker called Innocent Nshuti. He won the league 4 years straight for RAF, which is a team in Rwanda, and then he moved to America last year to play for Knoxville, which is in the USL 2nd Division. So just to give you an idea of the level of the opponent we're facing here. One thing that must be said, though, Rwanda play like a club side because most of them play for the same teams. Pretty much 98% of their squad play in the Rwanda League. You see that they have very, very good team chemistry. And by their World Cup qualifying results so far, they must not be underrated so far. For them to be top of the group with Nigeria as well. And the irony is they even lost their home game, one of their home games against South Africa, 2-0. But they won both their 2 away games. So if we're not careful, or more, we cannot take them for granted. And this game is away in Kigali on Tuesday. So that's why I really wanted to mention this. They don't lose at home. Their game's very low scoring as well. 1-0, 1-0, 2-0, 2-0. They're not going to give up that many goals. So watch out for that. And then when you look at the tail of the tape between us and Rwanda, we haven't played them that often. But the last time we played them with the African Nations Championship with the local players, we drew 0-0 against them in January 2018. And then in June 2012, we beat them 2-0 in AFCON qualifying. But when we went to Kigali, we drew 0-0. And this is when Rwanda was not even the Rwanda of now. So we have to be careful. Also, Rwanda in their last 5 games, they've won 3, drawn 1, and only lost 1. Ironically, their one loss was to Benin, 1-0. So we have to be very, very careful about this game. In all honesty, I'm always biased to Nigeria, so I believe we would beat. My heart tells me we would beat Rwanda 2-1. We have to win. Like, we really have to beat these teams, especially because in our World Cup group. But my head is telling me it will probably be a 1-1 draw. So do not be too surprised if that's the case. But of course, we want to be positive, and Nigeria should beat Rwanda and win both games. Other Nigerian news: the Nigerian under-20 women's team took part in their second game of the under-20 World Cup. They lost to Germany 3-1. Very, very unlucky, to be fair. They played well, but missed chances. But Germany were always the better team and expected to do better, to be fair. So, dust themselves up, and we play Venezuela on Saturday, 9 p.m. Nigeria time. So look out for that one. As long as we win, we qualify, because the other teams in our group are not that good as well. Korea and Venezuela drew already. So all we need is a draw, and we finish second, and we qualify to the knockout stages. So good luck to the girls, and go forth and flourish. Other news: Ademola Lookman, congratulations, superstar, nominated for the Ballon d'Or, the only African athlete, footballer nominated for the Ballon d'Or. Which pretty much tells me he should be the African Footballer of the Year. I mean, what a story. Wow. I mean, just unbelievable. So, good shout out to you, Lookman, and long may it continue. I hope you take some of that energy and score for us on Saturday. So, anyway, last reminder, what are the ones to watch? The games: Nigeria plays Benin Republic on Saturday, 5 p.m. Nigeria time. And then Nigeria plays Rwanda in Kigali, Tuesday, 2 p.m. Nigeria time. Peace out. That's it for this episode of the podcast. We wish the Super Eagles well, and hopefully God no go shame us, so the team will win both of these games and give us a lot to celebrate and talk about. Until next time, I've been your host, Oluoke. Please remember to like, share, subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, and if you're listening to this on any of the podcasting platforms, please give us a review. Interact with us, give us your comments, and of course, I'm always open to suggestions. So until next time, take care and peace out. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and click the bell to get a notification whenever we drop a video. You can also find our social media channels listed below. And of course, up Super Eagles, and Nigeria no dey ever carry last.